Today I will talk about the Khwarazmians, a historical people of Iranian origin whose continuous presence in Central Asia has been noted since the middle of the first millennium BCE. The Khwarazmians gave the world outstanding figures such as the father of algebra, Al-Khwarizmi, in the 9th century, and the philosopher Al-Biruni in the 11th century. The Khwarazmians spoke their own language, belonging to the Iranian group of the Indo-Iranian branch of the Indo-European family, similar to the Osean language. In the 5th century BCE, Khwarazmian script was created based on Aramaic writing, which lasted until the 13th century. By the 13th century, the Khwarazmian language was gradually displaced by Persian and some Turkic dialects, losing its former significance. Today, the Khwarazmians live in Uzbekistan and Turkmenistan, and their language is integrated into Uzbek as one of its dialects. The Uzbek language arose as a result of the interaction of Turkic languages with the languages of the Khwarazmians, Sogdians, Bactrians, and Sakas. The languages of the Turkmens and Karakalpaks, besides their Turkic base, are partially connected with the ancient Khwarazmian language. The Turkmen language absorbed elements of Kipchak languages and ancient Khwarazmian during its formation. Despite linguistic changes, the Khwarazmians as a nation did not disappear. Genuine Khwarazmians can be found in Khiva and Urgench. The Khwarazmians are distinguished by their unique dialect, which allows them to be easily identified among the region's inhabitants. The Khwarazm dialect has many variations. In some places, Khwarazmians speak 8 dialects, even though the distance between residents is only a few hundred meters. One word in the Khwarazm language can have several variants. In conversations with the people of Khiva, shades of the Persian language are heard, which are absent in Uzbek and Turkmen. The culture of the Khwarazmians remains alive. For example, the dance Lazgi continues to preserve traditions and pass them down from generation to generation. The word Khwarazm in the dictionary of the Iranian scholar Decoda is explained as an abbreviation of the cradle of the Aryan peoples. Historian Sergei Tolstov believed it to be the land of the Hurrians, Khwarazm. The history of the Khwarazmians is connected with 2 ethnic groups, the Saka Masagati of the lower Amudarya and the ancient Khwarazmians, who migrated 3,000 years ago from South Central Asia. The original center of Khwarazm was located on the right bank of the Amu Darya at the foot of Sultan Uizdag. It was a strong state with its capital at Toprak Kala, actively building canals and fortresses. Khwarazm is mentioned in the Behistun. Inscription of Darius I. Herodotus wrote that Khwarazm was the 16th satrapy of the Persian Empire and participated in Xerxes' campaign against Greece in 480 BC. Khwarazm was probably conquered by the King of Kings, Cyrus the Great. Later, the conquests of Alexander the Great also covered this region. The Macedonian state of the Achaemenids was destroyed. In 328 BC, the ruler of Khwarazm, Pharasmanes, sent envoys to Alexander the Great, led by the son of Phrataphernes. Alexander was offered to undertake a joint campaign in the Transcaucasus. However, he had other plans, so he declined this offer. The religion of the Khwarazmians at that time was Zoroastrianism, or Mazdaism. At the center of the faith stood the single god Ahura Mazda and the devil Angra Mainyu. In the teachings of Zoroastrianism, there were laws of good, Asha, and evil Druj, according to which each person chose their path in life. Zoroastrians were often called fire worshippers because they revered fire, not deifying it, but honoring it as a sacred element of the religion. Over time, the Sogdian and Khwarazmian traditions of Zoroastrianism separated from the Persian one, acquiring their own features and distinctions. In Zoroastrianism, the dead body was considered impure, while the elements, including earth and fire, were sacred. The dead could neither be burned nor buried, so towers of silence were built, where the deceased were brought to be eaten by birds and beasts. By the beginning of the 13th century, Khwarazm covered modern Uzbekistan and Turkmenistan, most of Iran, and significant parts of neighboring countries. The territory of Khwarazm occupied several million square kilometers with a population of about 20 million people. The rise of Khwarazm ended abruptly when Genghis Khan invaded Central Asia, leading to the collapse of the state and loss of territory. Despite the full might of the Mongols, the consequences of their conquests changed the fate of Khwarazm forever. The first attempt to conquer Khwarazm ended in a stalemate and the establishment of diplomatic relations between the parties. But the situation quickly changed after the brutal actions of the Khwarazmians against Mongol merchants and envoys. The Khwarazmians executed the arriving Mongol merchants and then the envoys. The Mongols did not forgive such acts, and this became the cause of Genghis Khan's large-scale military campaign against Khwarazm in the year 1220. Genghis Khan directed the full power of his army against Khwarazm, and the last Khwarazm Shah, Ala ad-Din Muhammad II, fled to the island of Abaskun in the Caspian Sea, where lepers had previously been exiled. There, Ala ad-Din Muhammad II died in poverty and solitude. The Mongol invasion marked the end of the Old World for all of Central Asia, where major cities were destroyed or perished. Bukhara became the only major city in the region to survive the invasion. Other cities and settlements had to be rebuilt from scratch, and often in new locations. Samarkand and Bukhara became part of the Chagatai Ulus, while the Khwarazm oasis became part of the Jochi Ulus, along with the Turkic steppe and the Golden Horde. Historian Sergei Tolstov claimed that the culture of the Golden Horde was only slightly modified from the culture of Khwarazm. It was from Khwarazm that the type of horde structures, mausoleums, and towers with tented domes originated. These mausoleums and towers became prototypes of the tented churches of Rus, influencing the architecture of neighboring peoples. In the 1370s, Khwarazm became part of the Timurid Empire, which was later succeeded by the rule of the Shaybanids. In the year 1511, the Shaybanids were replaced by the Arab Shahi dynasty. After their decline in 1728, a new turmoil began with a struggle for power. The struggle was between the Uzbek Manguts, Kungrats, Turkmen Yomuds, and the Persian Nadir Shah. In the end, the Kungrats won, founding the dynasty in 1770. The capital of Khwarazm became an important fortress and center of power for the new dynasty, which played a significant role in the region. In the 18th-19th centuries, the once great Khwarazm turned into a small and poor Khivan Khanate, located in an oasis mainly inhabited by Uzbek nobility. The oasis was surrounded by formerly dependent, but in fact rebellious, nomadic tribes of Karakolpaks and Turkmen, who maintained their independence. The Khivan Khanate mainly survived through raids on neighbors and slave trade, having lost its former significance as a bastion of civilization. In 1717, the military expedition of Alexander Bekovich Cherkassky was met by the Khan, who supposedly accepted Russian citizenship, but later the Turkmen destroyed the expedition. In 1839 to 1840, the Khivans repelled another Russian campaign led by Vasily Perovsky, but the Khan forbade kidnapping and buying Russian slaves. The Third Russian campaign occurred in 1873. Under the command of Konstantin Kaufmann, they captured Khwarazm with the support of Bukhara. Unlike the Bukhara Emirate, the Khivan Khanate was greatly reduced, leaving under the Khan's control only the Khwarazm oasis, with Khiva and Tashaz. In 1924, the Khwarazm People's Soviet Republic was established on the territory of the Khanate, later divided between present-day Uzbekistan and Turkmenistan.